Does your vision for business match what you see happening on a daily basis? Welcome to Jim White's Circle of Success show, where Jim White brings it all together. For over 30 years, Jim White has worked with organizations and individuals worldwide to help develop and implement excellence. You'll get the inside story on how to create innovative leaders from one corner of your company to the other. Get everyone on your team contributing to the bottom line. Keep building revenue, even when the economy and your customers have flatlined, and more. Jim White's Circle of Success show covers it all, from communication to contract negotiation, from personal fulfillment to revving up cash flow. It's not about theories, it's about showing what works and how to make it work for you. And now, here's your host, Jim White.
Thank you, David, and good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the show. We got a fantastic show for you today. We have David Drake back with us, and this is David's third appearance since January of this year. So that tells us what? We're very interested in the subject matter that we've been discussing, and it's crowdfunded. Also on the show today, we have three other experts in this field, and they are part of a speaking engagement that's going to start, I believe, tomorrow for the next 2 days in Los Angeles on capital creation. So we've invited those three guests to be on the show, and each one's going to have an individual segment. And when we bring David Drake live, we'll ask David to introduce his guest, and we're going to ask all the guests to, if you will, just to remain with us throughout the show. And then as we start wrapping up the show, we will kind of do a round table, if you will. But one thing that that keeps coming up as a result of the previous shows, people are saying, man, we've tried to do some crowdfunding and we've been unsuccessful. So we want to address that, and we also want to get an update of the latest on the bill, H.R. 3606, which just passed March 8th, I believe it was, and that's on the jobs creation bill, and we'll kind of see where that stands and see what the experts have to say about the Senate side and when that's actually going to come into play. We're going to see that in 2012, if you will. So we're going to come back after this message with David Drake, and we'll bring his guest on shortly after that. So you're watching KYMB TV, Comcast Channel 19. Be right back after this message.
This segment is brought to you by 12 O'Clock High Leadership and Management Summit. 12 O'Clock High is one of the undisputed best movie classics of all time. It is also one of the best business learning tools available. The movie rated #1 by top executives for its influence on their management styles. Now, the inspiration of the 12 O'Clock High Leadership and Management Summit, an innovative one-day event and 30-day follow-up where you will quickly see what's working and not working on the front lines of your company and in your own leadership style. Learn more at 12high.com. That's 12high.com.
We're back. We're back with David Drake. Like I said, we have four wonderful guests with us today. And as always, in live television, you never know what's going to happen as far as the technology. So we have David and one of our guests, Gene Massey, which is live via Skype. And I see we have our other two guests also live for as the telephone is concerned. So, David, welcome to the show. What we're going to do, we have Gene also on the screen. So welcome back, David.
Well, thank you. It's great to be back. I'm in L.A. today, and I arrived last night. We'll be here for the week on the West Coast. Gene Massey is on here. He's actually from L.A., and Vince Molinari from Gay Technologies, who will join us later on today, is from New York. And Jouko Ahvenalnen is all the way from Finland and London. Hopefully he'll dial in from Texas. later on today. But we're excited because we're having all our events in LA today at Reed Smith, and we're overbooked.
Are you?
Actually, over capacity at us today. Yep. So
Well,
150 to 180 people, and we expected really 80 people to show up.
fantastic. David, take a minute and introduce the guests that we're going to have on the show today. Kind of some of their backgrounds, and then tell us a little bit more about the next 2 days for the event that you're doing. Tell us what's the objective of that.
Well, my company, LDJ, invested in the Soho Loft capital creation events. And we have events, or the company, the Soho Loft has events every month about liquidity solutions for private companies, entrepreneurs, microfinancing, crowdfunding, secondary markets, and anything in between. So we're doing every month a couple events to educate investors, angel investors, VCs, institutional investors, on what is happening in the market and where liquidity can be created in existing companies. Now, we're going to have Vince Molinari, who will come on later on. He's a sub-congressional witness on many of the bills that went through Congress at the House and are now at the Senate. He will be able to discuss what is happening right now and what the topic is. So I'm going to defer discussing that for him to cover later.
Very good.
Gene Massey, or Gate Technologies, is a company who has created a electronic platform where wealth managers and portfolio managers can use it as a portfolio management system and actually buy and sell both private and public stock. And they really want to go after the institutional investors who actually have a lot of money to spend. But it also sends to the private company marketplace because they're allowing private companies access to these platforms. Now, Gene Massey is in LA and has been a frequent speaker at the Soho Loft. We have supported him, he supported us, he speaks on the panels about his expertise out of LA. He's been working on this project for a decade now and has created technology that would potentially allow any company to sell stock from their website. Imagine if Facebook could sell a stock to each Facebook user for $1. That's exactly the technology that Gene has built, which is, revolutionizing and, cutting edge, which needs this legislation to go through. And Jouko Ahvenalnen, who's from Finland, who'll join us later on, he is one of the principals of a Grow VC. Grow VC is a crowdfunding platform that is operating out of London, where equity for crowdfunding is legal. They also have operations out of Hong Kong where it's legal as well. And he'll talk about international crowdfunding and what's happening globally, as well as why they're interested in expanding into the U.S. So that's part of the people who are going to be joining us later on today. Does that answer your question?
It does. A little bit more about the 2-day event. You said, it's sold out. It's great to hear. At the end of the 2 days, what's the participants walk away from? I mean, what do they leave with? What's the objective of the 2 days, David?
The objective of 2 days is to, inform people what's happening in crowdfunding, as well as challenging every group out there, from angel networks to VCs to microfinancing to other institutions, on where do you fit in to the ecosystem of private companies trying to get liquidity or cash to grow faster. What are you doing to fit in, and what can be done, and what are other ingenious ways of getting liquidity solution? Most people have heard of, obviously Facebook selling like crazy left and right. That's part of the ecosystem of the private company marketplace. But getting a $5,000 loan from Lending Club is also part of a microfinancing in the ecosystem as well. So we're bringing all the different groups together, and we're challenging them to talk to each other, to integrate each other, to work together, and understand what can be done now that it's so much harder to get loans for small businesses. And it doesn't have to be technology companies that's online. This is mom and pop shops too. These are individuals. So a lot of the people coming, I'd say 20% might be crowdfunding entrepreneurs or entrepreneurs looking to run a crowdfunding or microfinancing organization. They're coming to listen and meet strategic partners that might fit in their growth. Another 30 to 50% are going to be family offices, high net worth individuals, and investors who are coming to learn about, okay, how can I protect my investment? How can I create liquidity for an investment I've had for 10 to 15 years? and I'm not getting my money back. What is out there to solve that problem for me? Mm-hmm. And by going to the investors, they're going to top down, having them influence the companies that they see that, hey, yeah, I'll put money in, but I want to have a liquidity solution in a year from now. I don't want to sit on it for 7 years or 10 years or maybe never get my money back. What can we do? And that's what we're discussing, what's being done. And then we have the legislation part of it, of what's happening in Congress, in the House and in the Senate, and how would that affect all of these solutions if we get some of the bills people are talking about legalized in the Senate. And in essence, what the Senate is saying is, right now, because of it, you can't solicit people for money unless they're accredited. Accredited means they have $200,000 to $300,000 in annual income for the last couple of years. Mm-hmm. If they take the solicitation rule out, which the Senate could do in the new bill 3606 that went through last week, March 8th, then you'd be able to market and say to everybody, hey, I'm looking for money, and I'll give away part of my company if you give me money. Mm-hmm. And that part could be huge for the American public, both entrepreneurs in the U.S. to create new jobs. You can get money easier, you can spend it easier, you can get it easier, and then you can hire more people, and more people get jobs.
Yeah.
So that answers some of the questions for you.
Yeah. David, you said you wanted Vince to address the legislation portion? Because I do have a question right now.
Yes, I would want Vince to get deeper into it when he arrives in half an hour.
Okay. All right. So we'll hold our questions in regards to the legislation for Vince. What is a home office? You've said that a couple of times. Did I hear that correctly?
Family office.
Family office. What is that?
Multi-family offices. These are high net worth individuals who are either by themselves or representing other family offices, syndicating the money from the family or individuals to invest in projects and investments.
Okay.
So it could be just a very wealthy individual who has a lot of capital and wants to invest it. Okay. And what they want to invest in is, of course, up to them.
Okay. Okay, we got to get a break in, David. Right after this break, we're going to come back with Gene. And Gene has been live this whole time via Skype. So didn't know where you know that or not, Gene, but you have been live on the whole time. So we're going to get this message in. We're going to come back with David and Gene Massey. You're watching KYMB TV, Comcast Channel 19. We'll be right back after this message.
Are you looking for a clarity of purpose? Are you a recent college graduate, unemployed, an entrepreneur, or considering a career change? A business owner or employee struggling with performance issues? Classes are forming now for the worldwide phenomenon, What's My Purpose Life Mastery Course 2.0. What's My Purpose Life Mastery Course 2.0 can help you define your goals and vision. Start living your life on purpose. Living on purpose is about joy. Living on purpose is about intention. Living on purpose is about personal transformation and continued growth. What's My Purpose Life Mastery Course 2.0 is a 12-week challenging course that helps you address finances, relationships, spiritual growth, physical and mental health. You will reclaim your personal power and get your life on track to attain true success. Classes are forming now for What's My Purpose Life Mastery Course 2.0. Learn more and register at whatsmypurpose.com. That's whatsmypurpose.com.
Thank you, David. We're back with David Drake, and we're going to bring Gene Massey live at this time as well with David. You there, guys? Gene, welcome to the show. I said we're live with Gene Massey. Welcome to the show, Gene. You there? Okay. Okay, David, you there? David? You there, David? Gene, you there? Okay. Well, we're obviously having some technical difficulties. Yeah, I heard you. Who was that, David? Okay. Live television, ladies and gentlemen. Gene, do you have audio? No audio. Okay. Go to your Skype.
For me.
I'm sorry?
Hello?
Yeah, who's on the line?
No. Yeah, I can't hear Jim. We can't hear you, Jim.
Very interesting.
Now we hear you.
Gene, we got a problem with your phone, ladies and gentlemen. Okay.
I turned on Skype audio,
Okay.
the Skype mic.
All right. Gene, go to your Skype mic, please.
They're both on Skype now.
Both on Skype. Okay. Yeah, vaguely. I tell you what, I don't know why we have so much problem out of Skype. Everybody in the world uses Skype. For some reason, we have huge issues with Skype. So we got to get our Skype boys here on this stuff. Gene, are you there?
I'm here.
Okay, good. Good. One thing about live television and our audience, they are forgiving on this stuff. So welcome to the show.
Thank you. Now you know what it was like in the 50s.
I understand. I get it. And great to have a sense of humor here. So let me do a couple things, see if we got a lot going on. Try switchboards. Okay. You still there? No, you're still there.
I'm still here.
Okay, good. Now, welcome.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Tell us, I mean, we're talking off air. You got an impressive resume here, my friend. Very impressive. And before we get into all the great work you've done, I just want to commend you on the work that you're doing in the corrections. I do a lot of that myself in past years, and from the correctional system. So I applaud you for that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I told a fellow the other day I was on the way back from the prison, and he said, What?
Yeah. I said, and I use that a lot in my speaking. And they said, "What did you over the weekend?" I said, "I was in lockdown for 24/7." Huh? Who are you? But yeah, it's quite an experience, isn't it, to be on the inside of that, to see and work with these young men and women.
Yeah.
Media Shares. Tell a little bit about your company, so we can set the platform and talk about your take on this crowdfunding, and you're one of the speakers at the event tomorrow in Los Angeles, right?
That's correct. I hate to tell you, but crowdfunding is not new. It started in 1792 when the stock market started. They decided they'd get a small crowd, get together and invest. And then the telephone happened, and the crowd got bigger. And now the internet has come, and they make this huge crowd, billions of people that are potential investors. And what's happened in the internet, in e-commerce, in books, in every aspect of commerce, has not really touched funding yet. And it's primarily been because of the legal restrictions and regulatory environment that have not been able to access the crowd. And now what's happened is Congressman Patrick McHenry, I guess you could say he started most of this with his H.R. 2930, which has been rolled into the new Jobs Act, and they have combined all the bills together and sent them off to the Senate with tremendous bipartisan support. And now the Senate is saying, well, I guess we better do something about this, even if the Republicans did come up with it. And so that's what we're up against right now, is the Senate passing this, and it looks very positive. And what it's going to make us be able to do is we're going to be able to post offerings on our websites and get money in small increments from millions of people. That's basically what it's all about. You know, Obama became president with the help of crowdfunding, basically. He got a small amount of money from a lot of people. And so, and as a matter of fact, he's behind the new bills that have passed Congress. And when these happen, I think you're going to see a tsunami of new types of funding online. It's really going to be something. And Media Shares is one of the providers And David Drake has assembled a marvelous group of people speaking at this conference in Los Angeles tomorrow and Thursday and Wednesday, I'm sorry. He's assembled a marvelous group of people that are instrumental, like Media Shares, in creating a platforms for this new type of funding. So what you have is a tsunami of new types of funding coming, and instruments are in place to do it.
I tell you, what a great overview. Again, we're not going to take away from what Vince is going to add to it, but you see Senate acting on this before the election?
Are you asking me?
Yeah, I am. I'm asking you. Do you see the Senate taking action on this bill before the election?
I don't see how they could stall it that long. I really don't.
Okay.
I don't see how they could stall it that long because it's sitting in the Senate now. It's been passed by the House, and if it really is something you see that would benefit entrepreneurs greatly, and it would really jumpstart the economy. Because when an entrepreneur gets $500,000 to start his business, what do you think he's going to do? He's going to go out and hire 5 or 6 people. When a big company gets a bunch of funding and they merge with another company, they lay off people, you know? And you can look at some serious statistics throughout the years that the real job growth comes from small companies. I don't think you would get any argument there, that the real job growth comes from small companies. And that's what David is instrumental. David Drake and Soho Loft are very instrumental in bringing all of these funding instruments together, bringing Congressman McHenry, who's going to be there tomorrow. He's actually going to be there tomorrow and actually going to talk about his bill. And I think you're going to see an enormous influx of new ways to fund things online. It's really I really think it's going to help the economy too. That's my firm belief that when companies can get funding, they'll be able to do what they need to do. Many, many entrepreneurs have great new inventions, all sorts of new technologies and everything. And yet you go to the bank and they say, well, you know, we don't do venture capital, we do loans, you know. And so what we really need is this new type of funding coming in. It's really going to help everybody a lot, I think.
David, anything you want to add to what Gene is sharing? Okay, we have an audio problems with.
No, that was my fault. Gene has been very eloquent at the panels and the work he's done with us, conveying in layman terms that it is going to create jobs. It can create a lot of jobs. Like you said, big companies, when they merge, they're going to lay people off.
Right.
And this will let the house mom be able to raise money online and start selling handkerchiefs if she wants to. And what's going to be needed is an infrastructure to support everybody, because just because you get some money in crowdfunding doesn't mean you know how to run a business. So there's going to be the deluge of service-oriented companies. They're going to start offering their services from marketing to setting up things to organizing to, you know, like Gene's company, allowing you to sell it on your website. And they're instrumental to let this happen faster and more efficient. Right now, a lot of people don't even know how to get started and are fearful of even getting on the computer to see how it works. Wouldn't you agree, Gene?
You know, I think I would disagree with you, David. I think many people are computer savvy now. And you're getting, because of Facebook and everything, people are going online and they're looking at their pictures and stuff. And if it's simple, and if it just means filling out a form, like we have, you know, Media Shares has a means of just filling out a form online to buy stock. You don't have to put a whole bunch of money in a brokerage account. We've got an instrument called Quick Shares, where you just fill out a form and it debits your checking account for the share purchase. And so I would think that more people than you imagine, you know, are internet savvy now, and more people will be, I think.
I tell you what, I I'm just getting excited about listening to you two talk and just seeing the passion in both of your faces and your voices. And I'd originally had hoped to be in Los Angeles for that event, and unfortunately that didn't occur. But David, good job, good job. I can't wait to see the outcome of your 2-day event, and I'm so happy to see that the number of people that showed up. Okay. So
Thanks.
we got to get another break in, and David, when we come back, we have Jouko, right? He's, I think he's on the line here, and we'll figure out if he's just by telephone or Skype. So we come back into this message, and we'll get our next guest, Jouko, on the line as well. You're watching KYMB TV, Comcast Channel 19. We'll be right back after this message.
This segment is brought to you by 12 O'Clock High Leadership and Management Summit. 12 O'Clock High is one of the undisputed best movie classics of all time. It is also one of the best business learning tools available. The movie rated #1 by top executives for its influence on their management styles. Now, the inspiration of the 12 O'Clock High Leadership and Management Summit, an innovative one-day event and 30-day follow-up where you will quickly see what's working and not working on the front lines of your company and in your own leadership style. Learn more at 12high.com. That's 12high.com.
Thank you, David. We're back with David Drake and Gene Massey, and we're talking about crowdfunding, and we're talking about the event, and I call it the event, that's occurring in Los Angeles the 13th and the 14th of Tuesday and Wednesday of this week. So, David, Gene, welcome back. We're going to see if we can get Jouko on the line and see what we can do here. So bear with us. Hello, who do we have on the line? Hello? Who do we have on the line?
It's just me and Gene. I think Jouko's going to make it.
Hello. Yeah, this is Jouko. I am on the line.
You are. Welcome. How are you doing?
I'm fine, thank you.
Good. Welcome to the show. So
Thank you very much to
have you been able to listen to David and Gene Massey thus far?
Actually, I was not able to hear everything. There was something on the line, but I think that I on certain level, I understand what they have talking.
Very good, sir. And you as well have one impressive resume, and the 2 days. What's your take on this? And tell us a little bit about what is it called? Grow VC. How's that fit in the equation?
Yes, we are very global service for crowdfunding, and our focus is especially equity funding models. And as David also mentioned earlier, we are operating globally, but we are very interested also in the U.S. market. At the moment, there are quite a few limits what we can do in the U.S. market, but we very much expect also to get this new regulation that is now basically accepted by the Congress, and after that we can see that we can also very much expand our operations in the U.S. And our target is especially to get the startup funding market to work better, and also open opportunity for ordinary people to make startup investments, so that it is not only for accredited investors or only for wealthy people.
You are, and I'm reading from your bio. It says peer-to-peer micro-funding service for startups. Any particular industry? Does it matter when this thing gets rolling? It doesn't matter for you for your through Grow VC. Is there focus?
It doesn't really matter, but what I would say that our focus is less than $2 million US investments. That means that
I would say that most of our companies that are in our service, and we have now more than 3,000 companies globally, they are software companies, internet companies, mobile services, also some clean tech companies, but not so much, for example, biotech or hardware or that kind of areas where basically companies need more money. But if we think, for example, software business or internet business today, companies can actually start with quite small money, and especially for that kind of cases, our models are working very well.
Did I hear you correctly? You said you have 3,000 currently in your Grow VC network?
That's right. 3,000 companies that are basically coming from 190 different countries. So that I would say that we are the most global service in equity crowdfunding.
And how long has Grow VC been in operation, Jouko?
We started a couple of years ago. We had first a kind of private beta version, and we have been, I would say, in full public operations, maybe something like 18 months at the moment, and we are really getting a lot of new activities and a lot of new members and companies all the time, so that it is really going well.
Well, that's impressive, and I am encouraged to hear that, because this has been my concern, especially for my audience. As Gene and David has stated so eloquently, the only thing that we can do now in the United States is this donation thing. That's probably not the right word, but this exchange of give something and come up with some gimmick, for lack of a better word, for somebody to give me some money for my product or service. And as we talk about, continue to put the pressure on the Senate to get this thing off and running. So with your experience, with your 3,000 companies, do you have any data to say this is how many jobs has been created as a result of this effort? Is my question make sense? You see where I'm going with that, to give our audience some sense that it really works?
Yes, I understand your question. Actually, I have no numbers that how much work it has created, but definitely we have many success stories. So it means that many companies have been able to raise funding, and we have also seen companies that have been able to get more money from other sources after they have done, for example, their first funding round in our service. So that definitely it is working. There are success stories, but of course I admit that the whole concept is still in early phase, and I see that in the future it can be much more. And especially I think that it is still, most of the investors are somehow professional startup people, but I think that our vision is also that when we get much more ordinary people to invest, it will very much expand the market. And one very interesting feedback what we have got many times, when our own original idea was really to get the startup funding work better, but we have got a lot of feedback that this is actually important, that people can also invest in companies. Then when for example, now in the US, it is now limited only for accredited investors. And many people have said that it should be equal opportunities also for all people to invest and have the same opportunities. And somebody said to me that when you get this to work in the US, you will democratize America again. And I think that it is quite a big statement.
I love it. Boy, can you hear the excitement, David and Gene? I mean, you guys are going to have a rockin' 2 days. Let me tell you, it's this is cool. We're getting a preview of your 2 days.
Yes.
Yeah.
No doubt.
Yeah, Gene. Yeah.
You're going to see a lot of excitement.
Yeah. This is cool. We got to get another break in, guys, and we come back. We'll bring Vince online. And then if everybody could stick around, and last segment, we'll just kind of have a quick roundtable, if you will. You're watching KYMB TV, Comcast Channel 19. We'll be right back after this message.
business is constantly changing. The challenges of the 21st century have never been greater. There is competition in every field, and technology is more fluid than ever. Bold, innovative thinking is needed. Organizations and individuals are looking for leadership, opportunity, and a way to grow. That way is finally here.
I love teaching. I love sharing. I love sharing from the heart, connecting what I call the heart and the head.
Hundreds of companies and thousands of people have been inspired by one man.
Even from nothing you can accomplish if you have the will, if you have the perseverance, if you will work hard on setting goals and achieving those goals and holding yourself accountable to each and every one of those goals.
Jim White has dedicated his life to inspiring excellence in people.
A+. The man was knowledgeable. He had lived everything he talked about. He was extremely sincere. He was succinct, and he was inspirational.
He's given me some thought and some ideas on how to reset my goals and how to restructure my life.
A hugely successful businessman himself, Jim decided years ago to share his knowledge. Over the past 30 years, Jim White has mentored everyone from Fortune 500 CEOs to small business owners. He has helped numerous companies and individuals achieve their financial and personal goals. His circle of success is a blueprint for excellence and achievement.
I got the strong feeling that Mr. White was speaking from a huge amount of experience built up over the decades, which I think adds a lot of dimension to this kind of a seminar.
Wants to make you get up and do something tomorrow about changing your life.
J.L. White International is a management consulting and leadership development organization. Through workshops and one-to-one training, Jim and his staff have inspired audiences all over the country and have been able to achieve remarkable results by focusing on human capital and designing customized solutions to increase revenue and productivity. J.L. White International is guaranteed to inspire excellence. Isn't it time you discovered what true excellence in business is really like?
Okay, we're back, and we're going to see if we can get our next guest on the line here. And Vince, can you hear me? Vince? Okay. Vince, are you on the line? Okay. Let's go to David Drake and Gene Matthews. Okay, back. Can I get Vince? Dave, you know if Vince
Hi, Jim, how are you?
Oh, there you are. There you are. Got it.
I got rid of David.
I
Sorry.
tell you what a pleasant surprise! We come here, we got another one here. Okay, welcome to the show, Vince.
Hey, thanks so much, Jim. I really appreciate you and the audience having me out here today.
Oh, our pleasure. I tell you, I don't know if you've had an opportunity to listen to any of the show thus far, but you guys are going to have
Absolutely.
a fun 2 days.
Incredibly exciting, and I have to tell you, Jim, if I just think about where we were just about a year ago, there was not even a thought of a bill in the House, no less the movement in Senate. And thanks really a lot to what David and Dara have done over the past year, starting with their events and really building a groundswell.
Right.
I am purely amazed at where we sit today.
Yeah. Can you tell us? I know Gene's given a lot, and Dave's given a lot, and Jouko's shared a lot with us. But you've kind of been on the ground there at in Congress, right? What's your crystal ball tell us? When will we see a Senate? When will we see a Senate version and get it to the president's desk?
Well, I think it's one of those unique opportunities where the president is already on side. So he's messaging here saying
hey, get me a bill to sign. This is important for the country. And I think when you really look at the power that's happening here, Jim, people are beginning to understand capital formation to the private sector, to the entrepreneur, is so important to revitalize our country. And that's one of the pillars that have built this great nation. So this is all about getting back to empowering, giving opportunity from the ground up. And I think the president's listening. Certainly when you look at the overwhelming vote for the Jobs Act and how bipartisanship came to work in the House, just amazing. Yeah, I think it's a little tough, frankly, right now on the Senate side, but keeping our fingers crossed that we're going to get there. And, happy to talk about any of those individual bills within or on an overall basis. But I think the major message here is we have to take control here as Americans and bringing this country back to where we deserve to be.
God, I love it. God, I'm going to see if I need to get on an airplane and come down and be with you guys. I don't want to miss the party for the next 2 days. It sounds like it's going to
be exciting.
It's going to be exciting. What's the biggest, use a Southern word here, Vince, what's the biggest hiccup and the Senate side? What's the Senate? What's the rumblings in the Senate? What's their major concern over these bills?
I'm going to throw this out there that I wish a bit more of the Senate, like Senator Toomey, very proactive, not unlike what we have with Congressman Schweikert and McCarthy, McHenry, Fincher, and some of the leadership from ISA and Boehner, Garrett. And when you look at that new movement and thinking about things differently, we need a little bit more of that on the Senate side. Toomey's done a great job at being kind of a first mover and a thought leader out in the space. But I think you have some partisanship messaging going on. I think we have a bit of a stall. I think with the crowdfunding side of the bill in the Senate, Senator Brown wants to water it down quite a bit to only $1,000 per investor and $1 million cap versus McHenry's version of $10,000 per investor at 10% of their income. And then you have Senator Merkley on the other side in Senate, who is, I'd say, made a major change to the Senate side, which is the states have to remain in control of crowdfunding. Unlike McHenry's side, which the bill preempted any of the state regulation. And I think that cannot be understated how important that is. No disrespect to the state regulators, but it breeds tremendous dysfunction and inefficiency in the way our modeling is now for our blue sky requirements and reporting. So we need to move this to a federal level. And frankly, I think the states can participate from a fee generation standpoint if that's the driving force, but it cannot be bifurcated from a federal state level and have individual states managing in their own manner. It's just not going to work.
Gene, I see you shaking your head there. You want to jump in on that, please?
Yeah, there's something in place now called Regulation A, which has allowed companies to raise up to $5 million. The reason it's not successful is because you had to go to every state.
Right.
Every state, pay a fee and ask them to pass merit on it, whether it's a good idea or not. And there's some states that don't pass hardly anything, and so it's basically impossible to use Regulation A in its present form on the internet or any offering on the internet, because you've got to go to 50 different merit review states, and each of them has to pass muster on your thing. And for an entrepreneur, that's $50,000, $100,000 just for the states. That's not. It's ridiculous. It's never going to happen. It would completely kill any crowdfunding bill if you're required to go to the states for any of them.
Yeah.
You agree, Vince?
Well, you know what, and to jump in there, Gene, you're 100% right. And this is what we have to get away from, and move to a fact that we need standardization and we need a level of continuity to move things forward. We have enough regulation in this marketplace from a broker-dealer standpoint, from an SEC standpoint, and now if you can marry the beauty of technology, efficiency, accountability, archiving, audit trail, in today's marketplace, we have blockbuster ways to move capital to the private sector to have job creation and formation. And I want to throw one thing out there, Jim, and
please,
I'm sorry.
Please, go ahead. Go ahead.
If there is a wake-up call out there, I think everybody should grab a copy of The Next Jobs War. It was written by the chairman of Gallup, and it speaks to exactly what's occurring. And looking at the major issue globally is creating opportunity and jobs within the world. Right now, there's a $60 trillion GDP in the globe. The United States has $15 trillion, or 25% of that. That's tremendous. Over the next 30 years, that's going to go to $200 trillion. There's $140 trillion in job creation that's going to happen globally. If we don't get our act together as the United States of America, guess what? We are going to lose that, and we're going to see a great diminishing of our percentage of GDP. And I don't have to tell you what kind of problems that's going to cause in this country.
Wow. Wow. Next Jobs War. Is that the name of the book, Vince?
The Coming Job War.
The Coming Job War. Okay. And that's out, I assume?
Yes, sir. That's out. Jim Clifton,
okay,
who is the chairman and CEO of Gallup. And
okay.
It's a compilation of their global interviewing and surveys, which have derived this data.
That's great. Boy, they do such great work. Yeah, that's good. What are the other concerns, Vince? I was just picking up, and some staff was doing some research this morning, and we kind of come across a huge clip where someone in the Senate was more concerned about protecting consumers. I mean, Gene, and Vince, you guys have kind of addressed that a little bit. I mean, what's the, isn't there enough checks and balances? I think you said that, Gene, or both of you did, in place already. Should we be concerned about that, or if this should be an extended debate in the Senate to say we got to protect the mom, pop from the consumer side, that they're going to, from fraud?
Well, I'd love to comment on that.
Please.
The SEC's greatest fear is people that file a Reg D and call up demented grandmothers in Omaha and sell them stock the last penny that they've got, and the SEC doesn't know about it. With these offerings, they'll be totally transparent on the internet. You can see the whole offering. There'll be people, hundreds of people, millions of people can comment on it and say, I wouldn't do this. This is not such a good deal. People will be able to see. And the general public, not some old person that with dementia, but the general public will be able to see something and agree that it's a good idea and vote with their dollars. And so there will be less fraud than there is now, in my opinion.
Yeah, good point. Vince?
Hey, Vince?
Yeah, I agree fully with Gene on that, and I have to just expand on that slightly. We have something in the United States called a broker-dealer. Now when you start to look at the broker-dealer in a new manner, as we have as Gate, we're an alternative trading system. We're electronic. We're now a QMS, or Qualified Matching Service, pursuant to the Department of Treasury. So if you now embed technology and solution sets that we have today with our current regulation, there is a check and balance. And I think it's a great example. A pharmaceutical company can go out and advertise all they want, and it doesn't stop anybody, whether age or in need of a product, in hearing that. What happens next? They have to go to the doctor, get a prescription that says, you should get this, and you go to the pharmacy and get it filled. Well, guess what? We can take the power of social networking and technology and have a checks and balance that ferrets out the investors that shouldn't be involved, and frankly, the companies that shouldn't be raising money, or the fraudsters.
Right.
So we have the tools. We have to look at this marketplace and the environment with a new lens of today that involves technology, not 12G from 1964 that is so antiquated. And frankly, when you have congressmen and congresswomen who are still coming down to the floor for their votes via pager, they have to get up to speed in what's happening in the world. You can't, when you look at social networking systems around the world that help overthrow governments, you have to be able to harness that in a productive, powerful way to enable our economy.
Well, that leads us into another break, and the message to this Congress and Senate: get rid of the pagers. Good thing that they can do.
I'm sorry, Jim, you tailed off on the end there.
I was just making a comment about what you're saying. Where we have everybody still in the Congress and the Senate, we're operating off pagers. That sends a huge message, as far as the technology is concerned.
Absolutely.
Guys, hang in there if you will. We've got to get a quick break in. We'll be right back after this. You're watching KYMB TV, Comcast Channel 19.
Thank you.
This segment is brought to you by Circle of Success. a dynamic, year-long intensive management and leadership development process designed to help individuals and organizations reach their goals quickly. A customized process addressing specific needs and identifying the critical opportunities particular to the individual and organization, with results measured in increased revenue, increased net profits, and increased equity. The Circle of Success, inspiring excellence in people. At jlwhiteinternational.com/circles.
I tell you what, this hour just flies by, and I'd love to have you guys for 2 or 3 hours, and just can't wait to get a follow-up from the meeting for the next 2 days. We have, about 5 minutes left in the show today, believe it or not. And what I'd like to do at this time is kind of do a little round table, if you will, anything. But first, what I'd like to do is to get some websites out, so I know our audience would like to know where to go learn more about you. Vince, could you give a website, please?
Absolutely, thank you. Gate Technologies, all one word, .com is our parent company, our technology provider and developer. GateUS.com is our regulated U.S. entity, the dealer of the ATS and the qualified matching system.
Good, thank you, sir. Gene, please.
Our business is called MediaShares.com, and we have a division that finances movies called CinemaShares.com. So, but for the time being, you can go to MediaShares and see our contact information and see a little bit about us.
Okay. And I'm going to open, Jouko, you still there? Okay. Jouko, you still on the phone? Okay. Is David still with you, Vince? Is David?
I'm sorry, one more.
Is David still in the room with you?
Yes, he is.
David,
ready whenever you are, Vern.
Okay, so any way that you guys can be on the screen at the same time or not?
We'll give it a try. We might be a little close here for comfort.
Well, we understand. You get real close here. There you go. It works fine. Let
me move my big head over a little bit.
Yeah, that's good. Perfect. David, my friend, I am so excited for you. And all the speakers, they're sort of articulate, passionate about the subject. And what could we share with the audience? What can they do to help support you in our efforts for the Senate? Gene, I see Gene had raised his hand there, and we'll come to you, David. Yeah, Gene.
You need to call your senator. If you don't know your senator, call Harry Reid. Everybody knows Harry Reid. Or call Sherrod Brown or Merkley, one of those senators, or send them an email. You can go on, is it senate.gov, Vince? You can go on senate.gov and send them an email. But it really is very, very important that they hear from people, because they're hearing from the regulators in all the states, and they're hearing from various people that don't want this to happen because it's going to cut into their piece of the pie. Yeah. And so they need to hear from entrepreneurs that would like to be funded. They need to hear from people that want to jumpstart the economy, that want to have new funding sources. They need to hear from people. So that would be the thing that could help us the most, is a campaign to call the senators and tell them to quit stalling.
Yeah, Gene, and let me add to that. I just called Harry Reid's office over the weekend, and they have a 202 number with a voicemail, and you can leave a message for them anytime you want. I would recommend people sign up and follow us on Twitter if they don't use they use Twitter at the Soho Loft. And I'll share the phone number to the offices. And all it takes is 1 minute phone call, leave a voice message, and just tell them, look, we need crowdfunding. You know, the Soho Loft is backing it up. And we're putting everybody together, like Vince and Gene and Jouko, to talk about what's happening globally and domestically as well as in Congress.
Yeah, that's good. The next 2 days, I'm sorry, Vince. Go ahead, please.
I apologize, Jim. Just one little piece there, now that Gene has brought up Senator Reid, as well as David. One component that I'm hearing out of Washington right now that they're looking to eliminate from the Senate version is the 500 shareholder rule and expanding that to 2,000. I think that's another pivotal piece of the equation that allows private companies to stay private and go public at their own pace at the time, not based upon some artificial benchmark. I think what we're seeing here is the major exchanges putting a bit of a damper and putting pressure on to not have this in the Senate version. And a message to the exchanges, you should be looking at this as a collaborative effort and incubating these companies to, when they come big enough, strong enough to come public, they should come through you. This should not be a competitive one against the other. This should be a way to grow private companies to make them in a better position to go public on a timely basis.
Boy, what a great point. David, over the next 2 days, you going to have anybody doing the Twitter thing so people can follow what's happening for the next 2 days or not? Or what's the deal there?
Actually, I just tweeted twice while Vince was talking, including a picture of him.
Good.
So, if they go to @TheSoulOff on Twitter,
Okay.
they'll see pictures and updates throughout the conference today and tomorrow, including some videos.
Okay.
So, yes, that's one easy way to find out also where to call to reach their offices. But,
I
yeah,
tell
we're
you
over
what.
capacity right now. We got about 60% more people than we expected. So it's going to be a fabulous 2 days in L.A. Couldn't be better.
I tell you what, you guys, even with the, I'm sorry I interrupted you, Vince. Were you saying something?
I'm sorry, Jerry. I was just going to say, again, what a great job David and Dara have done here. And
Yeah.
the momentum that's happening here, we need to remember, this is our country. We have a voice. The more people that get involved, write, call, it's going to make a difference because it has been making a difference.
I agree with you totally. And as I started off the show, I was sharing with our audience, this is David's third appearance since January. So, and that's why? Because our belief in what he's doing. So it's our small part to support all of you guys for all the wonderful work you're doing. And it's exciting. And we will see a Senate bill, and we'll see the 3 and the 4, Jouko, everybody that's been on the show today. We're going to see a lot out of you in the future because you're really going to shape how business is done in the future. I have no question about that. So I want to thank each and every one of you. Great to see you, David. Thank you for bringing your friends and your guests on the show. And everybody's welcome back anytime, okay?
Jim, thank you so much.
Jim,
My
thank
pleasure.
you.
You guys have a great. You guys have a great 2 days, okay?
Thank
Yeah,
you.
And we'll be in San Francisco May 10th.
Okay.
Looking forward to seeing you there.
Likewise. Okay. Yeah, that's good. That's right. Thank you for reminding me. Thank you. Have a good day, guys. Okay. Boy, what some great information. I am so excited for this event. And I hope you will really do as Gene and Vince and David and you can all suggested is call us your senators, really let them know that we need to move this bill forward. And you heard Jouko talk about since his founding of Grove VC, he's had over 3,000 companies, which is in fact selling equities as we speak. And to be able to have all the checks and balances, as our guests have shared, in place, and being able to weed out the fraudulent companies at the beginning, I think it's just very solid, and I think this whole process is going to be a phenomenal tool to get some innovations to the market and to create jobs. Okay? So I want to thank you for spending the hour with us today. And we'll be back next Monday. So you've been watching KYMB TV, Comcast Channel 19, and we'll talk to you next Monday.
This has been Jim White's Circle of Success Show. Please visit our website, jlwcos.tv. Join us next time as Jim White brings it all together on Jim White's Circle of Success.